Are we really the worst in Europe? I mean, Italy is the worst place in Europe to charge.
Well, it's definitely one of the more challenging countries, I guess, to get a good price.
For people not dealing with electric cars, this is like saying you pay 16 euro for traveling around 100 kilometers. Okay, yeah. Thank you to all our followers of Vaielettrico. Today we have a special guest, Felix. Felix, thank you for accepting my invitation. Felix is one of the most well-known people dealing with electric mobility all around Europe. I think you had your first experience a few years ago using an electric motorbike. Is that true?
Yes,
Okay.
and it was Italian made.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that. Okay. And he has obviously been traveling all around Europe for many, many kilometers. And he's taking his experience in a similar way as I do in Italy through his, mainly, I think, through your blog and through the LinkedIn channel. Is that true?
Yeah, and Twitter and yeah, YouTube a bit less now, but I will be back.
Okay. Okay. So the point of contact was a post by Felix, I think around 10 days ago. I think he shared a picture which was sent to him, to you, by a different user or a follower, I don't know. That person was in my town in Riva del Garda, the place where I live here in Italy, and he had a bad experience, let's say like this, regarding prices for charging, for public charging in Italy. He paid almost 1 euro for a kilowatt hour. So I think around 16 euro for 16 kilowatt hours. So I don't know the consumption, but for people not dealing with electric cars, this is like saying you pay 16 euro for traveling around 100 kilometers. Okay, yeah. And this is obviously crazy. Everybody can understand that. In the past, some people told me, okay, Paolo, you are not the right person to talk to CPOs, to talk to companies dealing with the charging because you are too good with them. You don't tell them this is crazy, things should change. I mean, it is not that I don't understand this, but there are two main reasons why I've not been so, let's say, bad at them until now. The first reason is I think that most people driving electric cars nowadays charge their cars mainly at home. And so I've always thought that the problem of prices, of public charging prices, is not so important as many could say. So this is the first reason. But of course, the second reason is that even when you use it, when you use public charging, maybe you don't use it a lot in comparison to your personal charge that you do at home. But of course, in terms of diffusion, I mean, if we want electric cars to be to grow a lot, we need to take into account also what public charging prices are. What's your opinion about this? I mean, what was your
Yeah,
experience and what's your opinion? Are we really the worst in Europe? I mean, Italy is the worst place in Europe to charge.
well, it's definitely one of the more challenging countries, I guess, to get a good price. I visited several times in last year and the year before, and also before that. But I did some bigger trips as well. And back then there were still packages you could buy. which got you quite some kilowatt hours at a good price. So then at least sort of a trick to make the trip more accessible. But I think for me as a fan of electric mobility that I became just by trying, and because I usually only go for road trips, so I specifically rent electric vehicles to go far from home. So I'm a very atypical user, and I only use public infrastructure always. And because I live in downtown Amsterdam,
Okay.
um, I will, as long as I live here, I will never be able to use my own charger because the cars, whatever car I use or motorbike, will always be connected to public chargers. So my focus has been naturally on this. And the thing is that I think also we want, if we want electric mobility to succeed, this the charging that people see before they actually try it, yeah, it's sort of, in my opinion, it has to look attractive, even for somebody that doesn't really, people who don't know that 1 kilowatt hour will get them this far and whatever. If there's a big sign displaying 1 liter of petrol for €2 and a kilowatt hour for 50 cents, that just looks good. And then later you find out that it might be even better than you thought or whatever. And that in winter it will be a bit less. But the thing is that, yeah, to me, these signs out there in the world are important, and that is why I share examples like the one I found last week, which just shows you that, yeah, if people tell that story to their friends, yeah, how are we going to convince anybody?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely true. Um, it's also true that many people driving a fuel, I mean, a petrol car today, I think they have no idea what public charging prices are.
Clearly.
But it is also true, as you say, that when they try to understand how it works and what costs they would have if they had an electric car, probably they will look at signs on the roads, and maybe it's not good advertising for electric cars anyway. And as in your case, I mean, I know that there are. I mean, a part of the people driving an electric cars today is in your situation. So they are usually fans of electric cars, because otherwise it's not so easy that they buy one if they cannot charge it at home. But in that case, I mean, person living in Italy deciding to get an electric car, even if he doesn't have the chance to charge it at home, and being faced with such high prices is not. I mean, it's not a good thing for themselves, and it's not a good thing for letting people speak in a good way about electric cars. I perfectly agree. Felix, the problem that we have in Italy at the moment is that CPOs, so companies offering public charging service, they have to pay a very high price for buying electricity. And of course, if they also need to recover the money that they have been spending for the infrastructure, at the end, they start from a price of around 60 cents for kilowatt hour when we talk about fast charging. Now we have 350 kilowatt charging stations. And then they need to add what they have been spending for the infrastructure. And of course, they need also to earn something. And this situation puts them in a very bad condition when they need to decide prices. And what's even worse at the moment, these stations, they are used for around 5 to 6 days in a year. Okay, so imagine that you have I don't know, like a shop, and it's only open 1 week in a year. Of course, what you sell will be very, very expensive. I'm not trying to justify something that is not acceptable. I mean, I agree that this is wrong for the market. And of course, we are seeing in Italy, we are seeing the probably the consequences of this. But it is something which needs to improve. I mean, it will probably improve partially when we have more and more electric cars. But of course, we need also a little help from our government that I hope will come in the future, because it does not make sense that there is such a great difference in price between our country and, for example, France or Spain. I will, of course, I cannot do it right now. I will share a research which has been done by Motus E recently. It was published last week, and which shows how different the electricity price is in the different countries. I mean, how much CPOs have to pay before they can offer the service. And this makes Europe a place where there are really a lot of very big differences. And that's a pity, I think.
Yeah, and let's be very clear that simply looking at spot prices of electricity, where big parties get their market pricing. If you look at Europe, then Italy is at the very top. So it's a very clear explanation for what we see in the market. So it is completely understandable. Like I understand why these prices happen. But the thing is that, of course, yeah, a random person driving electric, or yeah, like this way, it will just be very difficult, especially for the locals. In my, the further south I got in Italy, I was so surprised to see less electric vehicles when you are in a place where the sun is shining always. So imagine having a tiny shed where you can park your car. If you just have 4 solar panels on that shed, you will drive for free the rest of your life. Free. But yeah, clearly what I also noticed that I didn't see any new vehicles in the south of Italy at all. So as soon as I'm somewhere where I don't see new vehicles, then I understand that I will see less electric vehicles as well, because yeah, mainly we're still looking at, if you want the best deals, they are in the newest vehicles, because a new battery is the cheapest it ever was. And so we're also just, yeah, I think that I think the Italian market has quite less solar power compared to a country like Spain. And in my opinion, the future will simply change this. The government can help make it faster, but it will happen.
Yeah, it will happen. Nowadays, it is a little bit slower than I would have expected. Some people say that someone has interests in making it as slow as possible. I don't know. What is important, I think, is that I mean, I've always thought that the first people to get an electric cars would be those who are already in the right conditions. Those people that don't need public charging because they charge at home. Those people that don't travel so many kilometers that they need to charge somewhere else. And I think they are quite a lot. I mean, they are not simply 2 or 3% of people who can afford a car. There are maybe something like 10, 15, or 20%. And so I think that these people will help other people to be in the right conditions in the future. But I agree, I perfectly agree with you that having those public prices at the moment is not helping at all. Thank you, Felix. I appreciate your contribution. Thank you a lot.
You're welcome.